Welcome back. All right, we're in for another one here. So this one is going to be all about reference, okay? So reference is honestly the most important step to take at the very beginning of your project because you cannot just go in, making a character to this extent, this level of dedication. It's really hard to flesh it out and just have all of these really solid elements to this character without actually finding any reference for it. And again, this comes down to experience. So honestly, the less experienced you are, the more reference I would say would be beneficial for you. I guess the more experience you got, the less you can kind of lean on these things and the more you can just go off of memory, I guess. So just getting right into it here. So here we are on the reference sheet, okay? So we're all aware I will be making this design or this concept here. I actually found this concept on my Instagram. I was scrolling through one day and I saw Fedorov's page. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure his name is Dmitry Fedorov. Yes, there it is, Dmitry Fedorov. And yeah, it was I think I saw this render here or this one here, I'm not sure, and I was hooked. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of promote his page a little bit. Awesome concepts. I love this style. This is super exaggerated, super very dynamic. So yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So yeah, just awesome design. All right, going back to the sheet here. So what we're going to be doing here is basically trying to break down every little element of this character and try to find some reference for it. Now, for me, what I primarily like to deal with is sculpting reference. I like to deal with anatomy. If there's any hair, I like to get that as well. Now in this, there's a little bit of it, not too much, but still reference is good. And then just maybe some texturing references and just general rendering, kind of what my goal, I want my goal to be for the final look. So yeah, if we're taking a look here, basically, I've divided this into a few sections and it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, the anatomy for me, we're not going to be going crazy into anatomy, really, because he's just covered in clothing, and I don't want to go into it's not this kind of course. This course is just trying to build a really stylized, appealing character, and of course we'll be touching on some anatomy, but it won't be an entire course on that. But I do find that I wanted to get a good understanding of the muscle structure, the stylization of everything, and just how it all kind of fits together, yeah, as a character, I guess. I won't be defining a lot of this stuff, going in and defining all the muscles and everything. It's mainly just going to be a general structure. So I have a feeling it's going to look something like this, where we're going to have the silhouette, we're going to have the proportions, we're going to have the pose, like the A pose figured out. Try to get it as locked in as we can, and then just go from there. We're going to most likely just kind of dynamish these things together in parts and whatever. You don't need to go too crazy about combining too many things. We're going to get into that too, but keeping it separate is fine in terms of like arms and whatever. But when we get into it, we'll see use some techniques to minimize, I guess, the creation of assets based on the fact that we got a certain workflow we're working with here. Building these elements like the shirt and the pants, extracting from the body, things like that, right? So, anyways, we'll get into that in a bit. So anatomy, that was a big one. I kind of wanted to get that sorted out. I'm actually going to hop over to hair real quick because that was what I was talking about. Hair for me, I love doing hair and I hate doing hair because I find that it's a tedious and difficult thing to do, even in stylized, when we're doing this kind of geo hair. But honestly, I find it extremely rewarding and it looks so damn good when it's done and just polished, right, and done well. So what I was mainly looking for here is kind of, based off of the fact that we have this haircut, it's pretty unique. It's got a bit of a swoop from the back. It's just shaved on the sides a little bit. There's a bit of a fade. So that's interesting. And then, yeah, so we have a unique design for the hair, but I still wanted to get a good idea of how hair like this would normally flow. So I guess, the direction of the hair and just kind of understanding how all that works. Now, of course, we're going to have to add some unique elements to it based on the design, but it gives me a good rough idea. So this is about flow, and then we're going to, look into what kind of style of hair do I want? Do I want it, creased? What's the level of creasing I want? How soft do I want it to be? What's the angle, the curvature, the swoop of them, the S curves and the C curves and all that stuff. So when I'm evaluating these things, I'm really taking into consideration what I want to achieve. You know, how much do I want to dig into this to develop like a really nice style for this character here. So yeah, that's for the hair. And now moving on to the gear and clothes. You know, as you'll see, I have a lot of duplicates because, to be honest, some of these references, they are relevant for, you know, a multiple amount of things. So anyway, sculpting reference for me is basically just going in and defining a style, defining kind of an approach I want to take for modeling some of these things. I'm looking at, you know, the treatment of the bevels, the edges, just the overall kind of forms, you know, as we were talking about in the appeal section, right? We want to look at what looks good and what we can kind of extract from that. Getting an idea of like fold structure on a lot of these garments is going to be cool too. Now, these fold structures are, you know, to an extent, they're unique to the project that you're on, I guess. But I think that it at least informs you in terms of like where to go generally. So yeah, more of these just kind of sculpting references. Maybe if I have a bit of metal, if there's some scratches, stuff like that. So anything that I feel like I can pull from these, I will, and you know, it'll all be for informing us on how to model all this fun stuff that we got here. Okay. And then I got the texturing and rendering reference. Now this one is still kind of open-ended a little bit because I feel like we're going to be doing this in a bit of an organic way, but I do really like these as inspiration. And now what these really inform me about is gradients. So we're going to notice a lot of these concepts have some very strong gradients, right? The way that they've rendered a lot of these things. It's very apparent in these Valorant models here. Basically going in from like lights and darks, different values, different colors you can see here on the jacket, for example, going from a lighter pink or pink purple, whatever, to a darker one, just utilizing these kinds of things. And, you know, maybe it informs me on how I want to render the hair too, stuff like that, right? So this is not necessarily a 100% I want to hit these as a target, but it gives me an idea of just the general aesthetic I'm going for. I'm going for vibrant, a little bit of hand painted, most likely, and a little bit of PBR as well, and just an overall really cool style. So these Marvel Rivals characters are just super, super cool. I ripped these out of the game, just took some screenshots straight out of the menu, just to kind of look at how they treat some of these, you know, the little patches of colors and stuff like that, and variety, these little lines here, and how they've basically treated metals and leathers and all that stuff. So really, really informative for me, and this is the kind of stuff I would recommend that you guys do as well. So yeah, this is basically my reference sheet. I want to give a little bit of talk a little bit more about just the gathering of references in general. Now this is my other sheet. This is my master pure ref. This is the one that I use as like a starting base for most of my other software, or my projects, characters and stuff like that. So I have, you know, this is some stuff I've gathered over the years, but it is really, really useful for kind of, I'm in a pinch and I want some quick references. These are really good. So I've dug up a lot of these, you know, lots of these concepts, you know, creatures. This one's crazy, this section here. So all of this is really to say that, you know, try to find reference for everything and then just kind of compile it as much as you can. That way you don't have to dig around so much constantly. Every time you're doing a project, you're looking around on the internet trying to find some stuff that is relevant, where I could just rip it out right out of here and it's just straight to the point. So yeah, environment props, sculpt and breakdowns, hair, creatures, male body, female head, male head, breakdowns. I even have some texturing references down here. I got some topology references, and then some like game references. So game references to me mainly means like I have some idea of kind of how these, you know, actual games are run and what their characters look like and stuff. So, but yeah, make whatever category you want. I just find that it's useful to have kind of a large sheet here. Now, I want to also say that when it comes to compiling references, there's obviously many different places to get it from, right? For me, I like to put it all on this kind of pure ref here, but it's a bit scattered in terms of where I have these things. So A big one for me is Pinterest as well. So if I'm looking at this page here, for example, and this is really easy to look. I just type stylized, right? Stylized art, and we're basically, given all these models, these concepts, everything. And just like I showed in the concept hunting video there, we are just digging through a lot of really cool stuff, and it's just going to open a can of worms. So finding reference is super easy this way. So I can just pick this guy here, for example. Great sculpt by a coworker of mine. Awesome, awesome artist. Super talented. Does a lot of really, really nice stylized stuff. So highly recommend you go look at his stuff. And yeah, we just have a bunch of other references here for anatomy. So really, really good to have this stuff here available. And finally, I'd say stuff, like ArtStation is another location. So if you go to your page and you go My Collections, I have these folders here. You can create a collection, basically. And these folders are a great spot to store even more stuff. So I got some tutorials, some people have been, publishing these really cool breakdowns, and I've learned a lot from these, honestly, just looking at them and seeing what they're all about, and yeah, learning. I've got some topology stuff, some characters, illustrations, props, hair stuff, material reference, anything that you can get to add to the list of things that you want to reference, the better, I guess. It's really the more the better, if that's even a term. Anyways, that's pretty much it, honestly, in terms of reference gathering. I think that if it's something that you think is going to be valuable for your character, just throw it in. Definitely worth it. Cool. Hope that all made sense. Talk to you later. Peace.